First 45 minutes for the Hearts. Live commentary, Sports End and BBC Radio Scotland. You can also watch the pictures, the BBC Scotland channel. It's Craig Levine and Al Lamont.
Thanks, Richard. Right on cue. We are underway in the Kaiboon Park in St Gallen. As you heard previously, the home stadium of FC Zurich unavailable because of a concert. And so a slight advantage, you would have to think, in terms of not having to play at your opponent's home stadium for Hearts, and hopefully they can take advantage of it. Lashing rain, as Brian mentioned early on, certainly will make for a slick surface as Hearts start on the front foot, and it's Atkinson coming in field from the right hand side. I'll run you through the sides just when I get a second or two, but it's Barry Mackay picking up for Hearts as they look to start confidently. As the guys were talking about, certainly a back three, certainly nothing like the graphic that Craig looked at dismissively as he came into the studio. As often you find that UEFA put up the wrong formation, mainly because they're fed the wrong information, I have to say, from the team themselves as they look to disguise their genuine plans. But Hearts lining up with a three at the back as Haring helps out to the right hand side. Too much on that for Atkinson, so let me just run you through both sides once again if you didn't hear them earlier on. For the Swiss side, it's a 3-1-4-2, at least that's how they tended to line up over the course of last season. It is under a new manager, but it's Yannick Breker in goal, a back four of Omaragic, Kriziu and Metz. In the wide areas, Borani Jasevic and Guerrero. Djemali is the sitting midfielder with Marquesano and Selnej beside him, and Vienuk, and well-known to Hearts fans, at least those who attended the 3 games he actually played in, Donis Avidjai up front. I'll give you the Hearts side in just a moment, but they're trying to play out from the back at the moment. It's Cochrane bundled to the ground, 2 minutes in, no goals, and it will be a free kick. Craig Gordon in goal, back three of Rowles, Halkett and Kingsley. Atkinson and Cochrane wide, Haring, Devlin and Grant the central midfielders, with Barry Mackay supporting Shankland up front. Craig, relatively bright start from Hearts.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that the first challenge that came in was from Craig Halkett, and it was quite forceful, and he won the ball, and Hearts looked to be on the front foot. A lot of the sort of creative play is going to be up to the front three between them to try and break down that defence of FC Zurich.
Out of play for a Hearts throw-in. It's well short of capacity. They've got a good load of home fans behind Breker's goal there, but the main stand on the far side is virtually empty. So not exactly the intimidating atmosphere that you sometimes get when you go abroad as well, Craig. These kind of little things you have to take any benefit you can get from, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is quite a positive situation for Hearts that they're not playing in their home stadium, because that is one of the advantages. Because I know that next week when the game's at Tynecastle, everybody there will be feeling that it's it's a difficult place for the opponents to play. The supporters make it really, really difficult to get any sort of calm thoughts in your head. It's noisy, it's aggressive, it's loud, and it's a difficult place for the opponents to play. So if it was Hearts that were in this situation, I'd be feeling a wee bit worried that they've lost an edge that the stadium gives them.
Absolutely. Here come Zurich, forward from the back from the young, talented and sought-after defender Omaragic. Hearts managed to deal with that though, and it's over on the left-hand side of defence with Karel Metz. And now Guerrero, as Hearts soak up the rain, soak up some pressure, or at least possession from the home side. And back with Kraeju, who will turn it back to his goalkeeper. Hearts returning to European competition for the first time in 6 years, as the guys were talking about. The last tie was an ignominious defeat to the Maltese side Birker Kara when Robbie Nielsen was in his first spell as manager of Hearts. You just don't see something like that happening under his regime this time round, as Halkett slides the ball to play and limps away slightly. He was just carrying a slight knock towards the end of the United game. Well, hopefully he'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on that as Zurich come forward. First attempt on goal, but it's lashed miles over the top. Very adventurous from the right centre-back, Omar Agic, and Hearts and Craig Gordon will welcome that kind of effort all day long, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, it was a poor choice, wasn't it, to try and shoot with a bouncing ball on a slick pitch from 40 yards, and especially if you're a centre-back. I mean, it looks like a little bit of bad news because Halkett looks to be in need of some assistance. Yeah,
he did, as I say, take a knock late on against Dundee United, and he missed the end of last season with an ankle injury. I think he got surgery just after the Scottish Cup final, which he came back for and effectively played through the pain barrier for, but he's feeling something, whether it's the ankle or indeed the calf or the back of the knee. It's difficult to tell, Craig.
I think it's the knee that's a worry. I don't know whether he slid in, didn't he, to make that challenge on the sideline, and I think that's where he injured himself. I don't know if it was a knock on his knee or if it twisted. Yeah, it seems to wince a bit there just after it happened, and there's the limp.
Looks like he's going to have to be replaced, doesn't it? Toby Sibbick's getting ready, and it's a big blow for Hearts so early on.
He doesn't come off if this, it has to be a serious problem for Craig Halkett to come off the pitch, and he'll be so disappointed. Such a, playing in his first European match, and he'll be absolutely gutted, I'm sure about it.
Yeah, he looks it, doesn't he, as he troops off. We've seen a shot of Hearts owner and Budge watching on in the rain, but Craig Halkett slowly makes his way to the side, and there's going to be an early introduction for Toby Sibbick. But at least it's just a straight swap, and there'll be no real reshuffling for Hearts to do as Craig Halkett is replaced. But just in terms of, I was commenting on this at the weekend, I thought he and Rowles both played very well, but Craig Halkett, just in the last year or so, he really just seems to have come on so much as a defender, Craig.
He's always been, he's always had the aggression that's required to be a defender. I think he's learning, Al. I think that as the years go by, he seems to be getting better and better. I mean, people don't realise he's really quick, and he's very, very aggressive. He isn't 6'5", but he's brilliant in the air, and I can tell you that'll be a big blow. Robbie will be really disappointed about that.
So Sibbick on for Halkett after just 7 minutes. Goalless here as Cochrane picks up. Slide challenge comes in on him. Hearts will have to adapt to that change.
I think it'll be a straight swap. I think Sibbick will go into, because Halkett was playing on the right side of the back three, and I think it would be he'll just slot in. Sibbick will just slot in that position.
Almost 8 minutes on the clock then. FC Zurich 0, Hearts 0 as Peter Haring tries to get away from a couple of challenges. It's a good bit of play though by Antonio Marchesano for Zurich, and they come away with possession down the right hand side. It's played forward by Avdiay. Marchesano picks up about 30 yards from goal. Well, it's certainly the type of surface for slide challenges. We've seen a couple going, and that was a good one, and Hearts eventually get the free kick for a tug on the jersey in the end on Barry Mackay. But just a little bit of a warning there, because Zurich were coming forward with some intent. Kingsley, incidentally, playing in the middle of the back three with Rowles staying on the left hand side, and he comes forward now, the Australian, to good effect, but his pass inside isn't good enough, and it's intercepted and knocked forward again then by Silnij, the Norwegian international. Zurich trying to make some headway through Avdiay, whose Hearts career was a blink and you miss it job, but certainly has attracted the attention of the new Zurich regime. A couple of goals in his 4 appearances so far since coming in from Hartberg in Austria, where he played last season. And Hearts fans will be desperate to avoid the irony of a player who was very much a bit part at Tynecastle coming back to haunt them. Forward comes Omar Agic, and then there's a ball into attempted ball into the middle from Jamali.
I think he gets a deflection, actually. That's what he's complaining about. I just come off the toe of George Grant, I think, and I think he's quite right to be calling for a corner. The referee and the linesman have both missed it.
Yeah, I didn't see the nick myself as it went sailing over Craig Gordon's bar, and thankfully for Hearts neither did the officials, so the goal kick was awarded. Almost 10 on the clock. goalless, and pretty comfortable for Hearts so far.
Quite cagey between the two teams, and they generally find that early rounds of the competition, and they're both just feeling each other out at the moment. Nobody's really having a go for it.
Flicked through, but Mackay unable to latch on to that. What a goal he scored at the weekend. And if he can add goals to the type of season he had last year, Craig, then Hearts fans are in for even more of a treat.
Yeah, and it's really fantastic to see a player who seemed to take forever to get going in his career. He jumped about place to place, and in the last 2 or 3 seasons he's really become a prominent player, somebody who looks to have grown in confidence. He's got great speed, he's always had that, but his imagination was something, I'm not being disrespectful, it's something I didn't know that he had as much of it as he's shown in the last 2 years.
Hearts have got some defending to do here, though. They've conceded a free kick, and that allows Zurich to throw the central defenders up to join the attack. And Jamali, the veteran midfielder, and Marquesano will send it in. It's a good ball, and the header comes in, and it's gone wide. And
was it offside?
Well, that's the question I was going to ask. He will certainly hope the offside flag is up. Miles offside as we see the rerun. But nonetheless, the header was a free header and should have been on target. And thankfully for Hearts, certainly it went wide, but the offside flag was up.
Yeah, I think that was intentional. I think the line didn't drop, which it normally does. So I think it was intentional to try and catch the Zurich offside, and it's worked well for them.
It has, yeah.
We'll find out if they do it in the upcoming free kicks in that situation.
We saw Rangers undone earlier in the week via a couple of set pieces from PSV, and the first real sight of goal for Zurich, albeit the offside flag correctly raised as the header went wide. George Grant contesting the ball down the left-hand side. Here's Rowles. Have you seen much of him so far in his nascent Hearts career, Craig? He looks like a promising defender.
Yeah, I haven't. Obviously, I think I've just seen him once, but he was in that match. He was very competent. He's going to a new club as a centre back. What you really don't want to do, Al, is start off by making any blunders. So I think he's probably just playing himself into the role. And in the game that I saw him, I thought he was very competent.
Yeah, he was very good, as I mentioned, at the weekend against Dundee United. This is his 4th appearance recently. He forced his way into the Australian international lineup, as Shankland does well to win the ball back, and then Devlin's taken down in the middle of the park. It was a rather scything challenge by Ollie Selmej, and he'll get a talking to at the very least from the Polish referee Bartosz Frankowski. Good alert play there by Devlin in the middle of the park.
Yeah, do you think that warranted a yellow card? I've seen challenges, I've seen yellow cards handed out for, and maybe this is the tone of the match that the referee's going to set and let things like that go. And if he does it for both sides, then it's fine. Yeah,
I just wonder, sometimes early in the game these can be allowed to go, can't they? And then maybe if you're in the heat of the second half, it's more likely to earn the yellow. But the referee keeping his card in his pocket for now, and the free kick came to nothing. It's a throw into Zurich. We've played 13.5 minutes. FC Zurich 0, Hearts 0, as Hearts try to secure Europa League group stage football for the very first time.
I tell you, Al, that's some amount of rain that's fallen, isn't it? You wonder if at some point there will be standing water on the pitch. It looks still to be in really good condition, but there's an awful lot of water falling.
It certainly is. Similar to what we've seen in Scotland in the last couple of days. That was a good break for Hearts. Shankland just couldn't squeeze it through for Barry Mackay. Had he been able to do so, Mackay was in on goal. And Hearts really have to capitalise, you would think, on half chances like that. Up the other end now, and in the possession of Marquesano. Forwards come Zurich. It's Jamali who's trying to dictate things from his role as the sitting midfielder in the middle of the park for Zurich, now with Metz on the left-hand side. It's a poor cross, but it falls kindly for Marquesano, who tries an effort at the outside of the right boot. It didn't really get hold of it, but Craig Gordon was scrambling somewhat till he realised it was going wide, and it remains FC Zurich 0, Hearts 0.
Yeah, the shot reflected the pass actually. I don't know how it ended up his feet. It's a poor pass, and he equalled it with a poor shot.
Still goalless then as Craig Gordon prepares to take the goal kick. Quarter of an hour gone in St Gallen, and still the rain is absolutely torrential, as Craig's mentioned. But certainly there's no question at this stage that the game is in any jeopardy, as the goal kick comes off the head of Silnej and out for a throw-in, quickly taken by Cochrane. Haring now back in the middle of the park and holding on to possession. RDI slightly unlucky to lose out there. Atkinson picks up, and now Sibic on the right-hand side sends a low ball, and it's well defended by Metz. Sibic will go back and retrieve on the right touchline and gets it back in field to Haring. And now Kingsley into the centre circle. He comes. So important for Hearts to get him back. Made a substitute appearance late on at the weekend and fit enough to start in Switzerland, as George Grant picks up a loose ball just inside Zurich territory. Now it's Rowles. There's a sensible ball back to Kingsley. And now Sibic as they play it along that back three out to the right-hand side, as Mackay just drops deep.
This possession's good for Hearts, you know, just to let them settle. They've not been under much pressure at all, in all honesty.
Grant and Shanklin trying to link there, but the one thing about this very wet surface, Craig, is that passes have to be absolutely spot on, otherwise they're just going to skip either out of play or away to safety.
Yeah, I mean the slick pitch favours the players with better technique, and I think at this level the technique should be good. Good enough for all the players, but good players prefer a wet pitch for sure.
RDI sends it out to the left-hand side as Zurich come forward. 16, almost 17 minutes in, no goals to speak of yet, as Jamali sends in. It's a good ball, and in there trying to get on the end of it was the young Ukrainian Vunik, on loan from Shakhtar Donetsk, but just couldn't connect with what was a good cross, Craig Levine.
Yeah, and Sibic did enough. I mean, I thought he'd got the run on Sibic, but he just did enough to make contact with him in the box, get him off balance, and he didn't manage to get a toe to the ball. But it was a really good cross in, and for a second I thought Sibic had let his man go.
Yeah, Marquesano has the ball in his hands at the moment. I think RDI has taken a bit of a knock. Maybe we're going to see a replay here. Actually, just maybe takes a slight knock as Haring challenges him. Nothing too much in it. I'm sure he'll be fine to get up and continue, but the referee's awarded the free kick for that against Haring.
I didn't see much in that at all.
No, and it could be threatening. The free kick looks about 35 yards or so out central area though, and on this surface, as we've mentioned a few times, and as PSV found to their cost the other day, it could be threatening, and Craig Gordon takes a couple of attempts to hold on to what was a fiercely driven free kick from Jamali. Didn't skip along the surface, perhaps fortunately for Craig Gordon, but nonetheless too hot to handle first time round. Well,
it was travelling at some speed. He really did catch it. It was straight at Craig Gordon, or just a little bit to his side, but again, you know, he spilled the ball. He didn't catch it cleanly. I think that's directly a direct responsibility of the wet surface. So it just shows you for goalkeepers as well. I mean, they have to be on their toes and alert, and be very safe when the ball's as wet as that.
Absolutely. Throw into Hearts then on the left-hand side, to be taken by Alex Cochrane. Down the left it goes, returned. Rowles just nudged off the ball there by RDI, but Kingsley there to mop things up, almost literally mop things up on a night like this. Out it comes to Rowles on the left-hand side of the Hearts back three. Kingsley for Haring, first time forward. Time for Shanklin to get turned and move away from his marker. Good ball inside. Devlin's got a chance to roll it out to the right-hand side now for Atkinson. Just had to wait for the pass to come to him, then he goes down, Atkinson, very hopefully, I think. And then the referee is well, he's pointing to the spot. He is. I'm sure he is.
I don't know what's
It
happened.
looked like Atkinson went down very dramatically, and the referee seemed to turn away, not interested, but then he seemed to reconsider and point to the spot. Now, the Zurich players,
they look angry,
furious,
so, yeah.
so it does look like the spot kick has been awarded, and that's incredible. I have to say, my first instinct was there was very little contact, but
I thought he threw himself to the ground.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really silly. Oh, he stood on his ankle, didn't he? On top of his
stands
foot.
on top of his foot.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's
So my apologies.
yeah, Selnes.
Well, that was a penalty actually. The referee's done really well to spot that.
Well, Hearts a huge chance here then to take the advantage. The assistant referee, who might well have been involved in helping make the call, is facing a lot of intimidation, you might say, from the home players, who are not at all happy at the awards. But looking back at the replays, there is a standing on the foot of Atkinson.
That's a sore one. I mean, he's gone in there with a fair bit of force, and he's caught just the point, just the top of his foot, and between that and the start of his ankle, and he's limping.
Yellow card's been shown to Antonio Marquesano for dissent in questioning this decision. But it's a chance for Lawrence Shankland in front of a noisy home support. And Yannick Breker, the FC Zurich captain, will try and keep him out. But Lawrence Shankland has the opportunity to put Hearts in front in Switzerland. Takes a 2 or 3 yard run up, right-footed Lawrence Shankland into the bottom corner, and Hearts are in front in Switzerland. What an excellent start from the penalty spot. An unerring strike from Shankland. What a start his Hearts career is off to. FC Zurich 0, Hearts 1.
Yeah, the goalkeeper guessed correctly. He did dive in the right direction, but there was that much pace in the ball from Shankland. It was already past him by the time he got down. And it's a really good penalty. It's right in the corner. That's a great start for Hearts. They haven't been under any real pressure whatsoever, Al. I think that one free kick, the shot that Craig Gordon just took 2 bites at it to get a hold of it, and apart from that, there's been nothing from Zurich. And yeah, I missed the penalty myself. I thought it was a silly dive, but once you see the replay, it was definitely a penalty, and well done to the referee and to his assistant.
Yep, certainly a good spot from the official. They don't have the benefit of VAR for this one, but a third goal of the season already for Lawrence Shankland in his nascent Hearts career, just his 4th appearance, and he tucks the penalty home. And it'll be interesting to see how Zurich, who have been in such poor form, how they respond to this. Their only wins have come in Europe, and that's against Linfield in the previous round. Home and away, they beat the Northern Irish side, but Hearts have taken the lead here.
I think the water's gathering on that far side of the park. I mean, a couple of times when the ball's bounced, I've seen the water splash up, so hopefully this, after such a great start, it doesn't become an issue.
Here's Atkinson, who won the penalty for his side, coming forward once more. Out to Grant on the right-hand side. 24 minutes almost played in St Gallen. Zurich 0, Hearts 1. Lawrence Shankland's spot kick as Devlin goes down not once but twice, and eventually earns a free kick.
I think the referee called that right, because the first time I don't think there was any contact when he fell on top of the ball.
He's okay, he's up, and free kick will go Hearts' way just inside their own half. Excellent start, you have to say, for Hearts, who would absolutely love to take a lead back to Tynecastle for next Thursday's match, which is sure to be a sellout and sure to be a raucous and perhaps very memorable occasion, as Hearts look to reach the Europa League group stage. Of course, we do know that they are guaranteed group stage football of one sort or another. The loser of this tie will go into the Europa Conference League, but clearly the Europa League is the more illustrious competition. It's not that much richer in terms of the finances you can get from it, but you know, another million or so wouldn't go amiss down Tynecastle way, I'm sure, as Haring is penalised for a poor challenge there.
He probably should have been booked, because that was very similar, wasn't it, to the situation with the penalty. He's caught him in the area just at the top of his foot, between that and the ankle, and it was very, very similar, and Haring's got away with one there.
Yeah, I don't think Selnage was booked actually for the challenge.
Was he not?
On
Sorry.
The penalty. The yellow card that was flashed was for Marquesano, and I think that was the only one that was shown at the time. Certainly it was the only one I was aware of, but
well, I'm glad one of us is paying attention.
For the moment. Here's Barry Mackay stepping in from the left-hand side, clips it to the edge of the box for Shanklin, down for Devlin. He'll take the shot on, he's right to do so, but it's repelled as far as Atkinson. But shots from distance on a skippy surface like this are worth taking on. But Hearts have lost possession. It's Haring, unusually for him, losing out, and forwards comes Zurich on the counter-attack. It's a good shot, and it's turned round the post from Craig Gordon. It was a swift counter-attack there from Zurich, and eventually it was the veteran Jamali who was up taking the right foot shot outside of the boot, and Craig Gordon stuck out the left glove and turns it round for a corner.
Yeah, it was a great save from Craig, wasn't it? I mean, Peter Haring will be real annoyed at himself. The ball got caught under his feet and they robbed it from him, and it was 4 against 2 at one point, and you know, thank God Craig got a strong hand to that and pushed it around for a corner.
Corner from the right hand side then, to be taken by Marquesano. Gordon hasn't got there this time, comes to the back post, it's fired in, comes off Kingsley, who stood up bravely, comes back out to the edge of the penalty. It's sent back in, scramble in the 6-yard box. Hearts managed to work it away and eventually fire up towards the halfway line. Danger over for the moment. That was really Zurich's best spell, that last minute or so, with the save from Craig Gordon, and then a little bit of confusion surrounding the corner. Back it comes up towards the Hearts penalty area. 1-0 Hearts lead thanks to Lawrence Shanklin's penalty just a few minutes ago after Atkinson was fouled. Hearts have cleared the lines and up towards Barry Mackay. Down the left he goes, holding it up until Shanklin joins him in the penalty area. Shanklin goes down now, this time a wag of the finger as Shanklin is asked to get to his feet. No penalty on that occasion, and it was worth asking the question, Craig.
Yeah, there was contact there, but the defender had read which way Lawrence Shanklin was going. All he did was use his arm as a barrier, and Shanklin couldn't get past him. I don't think that was a penalty. Mirlin
Krayezu wasn't happy with Shanklin going to ground, but certainly he was out-muscled by the big defender. Forward comes Zurich again. It's rather end-to-end just at the moment. Zurich trying to work the 1-2, but it's blocked, and Hearts get it up towards the halfway line, but have given up possession once more. It's back with Metz.
You know, Al, this is a typical situation that the Hearts players themselves are kind of backing off and letting, you know, Zurich have the ball. And I think what's happened with that opportunity they had, they've grown in confidence in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And what the last thing Hearts want to do is lose a goal before half time. So I think they need to play a little bit higher and a wee bit more aggressively.
Forward down the left come Zurich. It's Guerrero into the penalty area. Civic missed it, but Kingsley was there to turn it behind. But certainly the Zurich tails are up just at the moment, but they do trail by a goal to nil. But they're looking for an equaliser and have a bit of momentum about them just at the moment. Out on the left-hand side, then we do see puddles as we see a close-up just off the pitch. As long as the puddles build up off the pitch, that's fine. Marquesano, right-footed from the left-hand side, sends it in. Haring gets something on it, manages to clear as far as Giamilli. Out comes Craig Gordon to the edge of his 6-yard box and collects comfortably under no real pressure. And with almost 29 minutes played in St Gallen, it's FC Zurich 0, Hearts 1.
Yeah, 40 years old, still playing at the top level. And you know, Craig Gordon had that period where everybody thought his career was over. His knee was damaged and didn't think there was any way back. So it's wonderful to see him performing on stages like these.
You're doing him a slight disservice, I have to say. He's only 39.
Is he?
Not 40 till I think it's Hugmanay. He turns 40, but nonetheless the point remains the same.
Yes, I would say the same things when he gets to 40. I'll make a point to remember.
And he's keen to play into his 40s, and the way he's looking just now, in the shape he's in and the form he's in, you would have to say he's got at least a couple of seasons left in him, as we see a replay of the penalty incident and then the penalty being tucked away really emphatically by Lawrence Shankland, who looks a very astute acquisition, you have to say, by Robbie Neilson.
And also the good thing is when you bring a player in that you've had success with previously, which Robbie definitely did with Lawrence at Dundee United, then there's a connection there, and it helps the player hit the ground running. And I think that's been apparent, that he's on the score sheet already. Yeah,
there's no sign of any, you'd have to say, malaise from his less than successful time out with the beer shot. He really has, as you say, hit the ground running, and clearly as soon as a striker's in goal scoring form, then the confidence is immediately up.
Yeah, and that connection between Robbie and him is really important.
Forward come Zurich down the left channel. Good challenge again by Kingsley, this time on Guerrero to knock it behind for another FC Zurich corner kick.
Just seeing the background there, the pictures of the pitch where the water is now starting to gather on the pitch. No wonder with the amount of rain that's fallen, even since the start of the game.
Another corner from the left-hand side to be taken by Marquesano. Plays the short one this time to Avdiai, gets it back to Marquesano on the left-hand side. Good challenge back there from Barry Mackay, back doing some defensive work, but just as he cleared it, Craig, you could see also the ball holding up a little bit in that very sodden pitch, and that would be the one concern, that the referee then begins to think that the game has to be abandoned at some stage. There's a chance at the other end. Oh, it's a goal for FC Zurich, brilliantly taken out of absolutely nothing by Guerrero. A fabulous finish. It was a long ball over the top which caught the Hearts defence out, and he took one touch and split on the left foot and fired it past Craig Gordon. Really good finish from Guerrero. It's FC Zurich 1, Hearts 1.
Yeah, it's so simple, wasn't it? It was a long ball played from the goalkeeper. The run was made from outside to in. And is that Kingsley? I'm not sure if that's Kingsley or not. No, it's not.
Atkinson.
It's Atkinson, and he I don't know. I mean, he could, instead of heading the ball away, he's headed it up in the air, and of course it's gone over his head, and the striker was quicker to react. He's got round, and to be fair, it is a really good finish, but that was so slack, wasn't it? It was just a simple long ball from the goalkeeper. Atkinson heads it up in the air, then loses his bearings a little bit, and Hearts find themselves back level at one each.
Yeah, it's a really good finish, but Atkinson will feel he could have defended the situation better. The long ball, direct ball through the middle from the goalkeeper, up in the air off the head of Atkinson, and on the turn Guerrero smashed it past Craig Gordon, who could do nothing to keep that one out of the net, and it's 1-1, which is still a very respectable scoreline. But Hearts, well, we did wonder, Craig, they had been coming under a bit of pressure in the previous 5 minutes or so, and it's eventually told.
Yeah, there was a run of good things that happened for Zurich, and I think their confidence just was growing by the minute.
It's growing further. It's a good intricate bit of play in the middle of the park, but the forward ball for Jamali just caught Vunik on his heels rather. Hearts were able to win it back, but Zurich quickly have it back in their possession. 33 minutes in, 1-1 it stands, with Guerrero equalising moments ago from Shankland's penalty. Forward comes Zurich again, another evidence of the ball just holding up, not once but twice over on that left hand side. I wonder if that area of the park is worse at the moment. In the middle of the park as Zurich move it, doesn't seem too bad just now. Forward comes Omar Agic, headed away by Kingsley from the edge of his penalty area. Haring a bit clumsy in there. Omar Agic picks up once more just outside the penalty area. Now it's the goal scorer Guerrero from the left hand side, away by Sibic. Only as far though. There's another Zurich player who's knocked into that from the right hand side. Atkinson can't get it clear. Now it's Guerrero on the left hand side. It's a good ball, inviting for Jamali. Scores! What a finish from Jamali. Two excellent goals have turned this game on its head. Hearts just couldn't get it clear, and when it was cut back by Guerrero, there was the veteran midfielder Jamali to smash it into the top corner, and all of a sudden it's FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1.
Yeah, again an opportunity to clear the ball, but Hearts sitting back for the last 5 minutes. They've caused their own problems, Al. I mean, in conditions like these, when anything can happen, the last thing you want to be doing is defending inside your penalty box, and I mean, that was just so simple. Broke to a player 17 yards out, and he just lashed it into the top corner. There wasn't anybody there to block it. Barry Mackay was on the edge of the box, but he wasn't in a position to defend it. And I think Robbie will be furious, because you can sense when the opposition start to grow in confidence, and the last thing you want to do is defend as deep as Hearts have been defending, and they brought this upon themselves, unfortunately.
There was no sign of this from FC Zurich up until the last, let's say, 10 minutes, for being generous, but certainly Hearts were comfortable and 1-0 up. All of a sudden FC Zurich have begun to look a lot better, and they've won possession in the middle of the park once more. It's Marquesano, foul there by Cammy Devlin, was he? The referee points to the ball to say it was one. Forward still down the right hand side with Boran Jezovic, who was involved in the build up to that goal, keeping it alive with the crosses from the right. And FC Zurich all of a sudden don't look like a team who've only picked up 2 points from their 5 league games so far this season. They look a different animal, but Jemaili is one of the real stars and has been missing for most of the campaign so far, but back into the team he's come, and he smashed that into the top corner off the outside of his right boot, giving Craig Gordon absolutely no chance from about 12 yards. And that's what has FC Zurich in front. As Gordon just plays the short ball to Rowles on the left-hand side of the penalty into Kingsley. Shot comes Haring for the pass and just flips it out to the right-hand side to Sibic, who gets it back from Atkinson. This is what Hearts need to do: a bit of composure, a bit of possession, but Sibic has tried a much more difficult ball and given it away again. And here comes Jemaili trying to feed it through for Vunuk on the left-hand side of the penalty. Out slides Craig Gordon though, and gets there just fractions of a second before the Ukrainian striker, and it remains Zurich 2, Hearts 1.
Yeah, what a different game now altogether, isn't it? I mean, Hearts have now started to try and push forward again, and for me, they definitely deepened for some reason. I don't know, and I don't think it would be instructions from the bench, but the team deepened, and I think that Zurich have grown in confidence from that point.
Hearts have it through Kingsley, just inside his own half, out to the left-hand side for Rowles. Nowhere really for him to go, just knocks a hopeful ball down the left channel, which no Hearts player is going to manage to get onto. Out of his goal, out of his penalty area comes Breker, the Swiss captain, and Mudge looking on rather less satisfied than she was 15 minutes or so ago. Devlin with a good challenge to keep possession in the middle of the park. Back with Mackay now, midway inside the Zurich half. Now it's Sibic just outside the centre circle, out to the right-hand side for Atkinson, looking to take on Guerrero, but Guerrero's robbed him, and forward he comes now, and Marquesano just inside Zurich territory. Back it goes to Selnej, picked up by Jemaili, the very experienced Swiss international, 69 caps for his country, and a goal tonight to put his side in front. Back with Krayeju in the middle of the Zurich defence, and Metz on the halfway line looking for the ball forward. It's for Guerrero. And Zurich look a completely different team from the one that fell a goal behind early in this game. Forward they come once more. It's RVI and Vunuk trying to link, doesn't quite come off as Shanklin manages to hold on to possession and then poke it to Barry Mackay on the left-hand side, looking to try and take on Omar Agic. Oh, he's done really well. He's away from 2 players. Can he pick out a teammate? He can. It's Grant on the edge of the box, tries the shot, but it's a tame one and gathered well by Breker, but Grant didn't quite get a hold of the shot from just inside the penalty area. And with 39 on the clock, it remains Zurich 2, Hearts 1.
Well, that was much better play from Barry Mackay. He forced the Zurich defenders back, managed to jink in between the two of them. It was a good ball into the box, and I know the ball's a little bit behind Grant, but he's adjusted his feet. The shot was on target, but it didn't have enough power in it to beat the goalkeeper.
His first goal for the club in that 4-1 win at the weekend over Dundee United. But not on that occasion, couldn't add to it, as Abdiai picks up just in the left-hand side of the penalty, or Sibic with him. Abdiai's done well to hold on to the ball and then gets it back out to Jemaili about 30 yards from goal. He tries to clip it back into the penalty area, well challenged by Mackay. Devlin picks up, represents it straight back to Zurich. We go all the way back to the goalkeeper. Just over 5 minutes until the half-time whistle, and Hearts have gone from a winning position to trailing. But certainly want to get in at the break, no worse than 2-1 down, and regroup. As Cochrane heads the ball out of play for the throw-in. Just a shot of another pensive-looking Robin Nielsen in conversation with Lee McCulloch and the rest of his coaching team. Throw into Zurich on the right-hand side, midway inside the Hearts half. Flipped forward by Marquesano. Now it's Boran Jazovic. Gets the cross in, but it's a poor one taken by Craig Gordon at his near post, and in these slippery conditions he just needs to make absolutely sure, as he did, and then bowls it out over arm to the left-hand side for Rowles. Forward it comes to Cochrane. Mackay's taken a deep position back in the left-hand side, plays the ball square across the pitch to Sibic, who's time to bring it under control and then play it to Atkinson. Now Haring still well inside his own half. There was a handoff there on his marker, but no free kick. But Haring's misplaced his pass, and now Marquesano picks up inside the centre circle. Players like Haring and Devlin, who usually so industrious but so careful with the ball, guilty of giving possession away, and that's what Hearts can't afford to do.
It is more difficult, Alice, that after, you know, with these conditions, to be able to make sure that you don't make any errors, and there have been too many from Hearts.
4 minutes left of the first period. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. You listen to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, Sports Extra on Sounds, on 810 medium wave and online. The game is live on the BBC Scotland TV channel, if you would prefer that. It's certainly a good game so far. Hearts starting really well, but now find themselves behind as Mackay picks up on the left-hand side. How they would love a leveller before the interval. Mackay picks up speed, down the left he goes, into the penalty. Well, it was dropped there by the goalkeeper, but there was an infringement before it came to him. And Shanklin, who I think has been penalised for a nudge off the ball on one of the defenders as the ball came into the penalty. He's just trying to hold his marker off, and the referee reckons he was just holding on to him too much, and the goalkeeper rather gets away with that because it was a poor fumble from him.
There will be more mistakes in this game for sure. I mean, as the water continues to come onto the pitch, then it's going to be more and more difficult to, you know, particularly for the goalkeepers to keep a hold of the ball. But even outfield players, it's much more difficult in these conditions. Now, I mean, there's two situations that we've just had with the balls fed out to Barry Mackay, and we've ended up with two crosses, and he's picked the ball up maybe 15-20 yards into Zurich's half. So he's made the ground up, he's beaten players, he's gone between two on the first attempt to cut the ball back for a shot, and on that one the ball's a little bit too close to the goalkeeper. But there's much more encouragement for me when he gets fed the ball on a sort of fairly regular basis. He's in the fullback's head as well at the moment, but he's gone past them twice, so just get the ball to him as quickly as possible.
Seems like pretty good advice, as Haring's done well to win the ball back. Now Devlin bursting forward, two Hearts players in support. One of them is Barry Mackay out to the left-hand side. Now it comes to Grant. Cochrane goes in the underlap, back to Mackay though it goes. Right try of the shot at goal, it almost fell kindly for Atkinson. It was a poor effort off the outside of the right boot from Barry Mackay, unfortunately, and Atkinson was just a yard away from actually making it turn into a good pass, but it's gone harmlessly away, out of play, and it will be I think a goal kick.
Did you say good pass there?
Almost a good pass. Almost turned from a very poor shot into a good pass. It's actually gone out for a throw-in, such was the quality of the shot, as Guerrero prepares to take it. Well, Hearts will look to turn this losing position round, of course, but they are guaranteed to be playing in European competition proper for the first time since the 06-07 UEFA Cup, when they lost in the first round to Sparta Prague. Robbie Nielsen was playing on that occasion, and they will have a chance just before the interval, or into the final minute of the first 45. They've been given a free kick just about 10 yards or so inside from the right touchline and about 40 yards from goal, and it is an opportunity for Hearts to just throw some bodies forward into the penalty area and try to claim an equaliser before the half-time whistle goes. The home fans didn't like the decision. As Zurich hold the line just outside the penalty area. Can Hearts find a second goal? It's going to be Cochrane to send it in. It's a good looking ball, but it's headed away to the edge of the penalty area, well dealt with. And by Zurich, it was Borna Jezovic who managed to get it clear, and forward comes Zurich. And Craig Gordon will have a free kick actually, as RDI was closing down and using too much physicality in his attempt to get away from the defender. A couple of minutes to be added on at the end of this first half of injury time, and we're into that right now. 2-1 Zurich lead. They trailed by a Lawrence Shankland penalty to nil, but they've come back with fabulous goals, you have to say, from Guerrero and Gemaili, and they have a 2-1 advantage as Atkinson carelessly gives the ball away over on the far side. Chance for Zurich to break down the left as they come forward. RDI can't hold on to possession, and they have to go back once more, and it's Metz plays it square for Omaragic, out to the right hand side for Borna Jezovic. This ball forwards cut out by Rowles, kept in by Cochrane. There was too much attention on him by Borna Jezovic.
You know, there's a, you know, for a game of very, very few chances, to have 3 goals at this stage is quite remarkable, isn't it? I mean, there hasn't been that much good play, there haven't been many chances, but there's 3 goals.
Take goals any time they're on offer, albeit we'd prefer if 2 of them hadn't come for Zurich, but they were excellent strikes, both of them. But Hearts will feel they were preventable as Atkinson wins possession over on the right hand side. He's challenged by Guerrero, out for a throw in, and Guerrero lets Atkinson know all about it. Looks very animated, the Spaniard. He's one of the key players, that has to be said, in the title-winning team of last year. 12 assists, as well as his 4 goals from the left-hand side of midfield, and really crucial in that first title win in 13 years for FC Zurich. Here's Mackay, tries to play a disguise pass infield for Cochrane, but it was not a good one from Mackay, as Cochrane makes the point to him, but it was also well read by Borna Jezovic and went out for a goal kick, but there'll be no time for that to be taken, because the referee has brought the first half to a close. A first half in which Hearts started pretty comfortably and got themselves into a lead at the midway point, when Atkinson was adjudged to have been fouled inside the penalty area. The referee spotting a stamp on his foot, and up stepped Lawrence Shankland to open the scoring, tucking the penalty away low to the goalkeeper's right, and he could do nothing about it as it nestled in the back of the net. 1-0 to Hearts, and at that point they looked very good. But just after that, FC Zurich began to creep into the game. Gemaili had a shot well saved by Craig Gordon on 26 minutes, and 6 minutes after that they were level. The pressure began to tell on Hearts, but it was a long ball out of defence from the goalkeeper that Atkinson could only head up high in the air, and as it dropped just inside the penalty area, Guerrero spun and on the left foot volleyed it past Craig Gordon, and a fine leveller it was, and they could only survive another 2 minutes all square before they were behind Hearts. It was Guerrero again involved, this time providing the assist from the left hand side, just rolled the ball into the penalty area, and there was Gemaili with a fine cracking finish into the top corner off the outside of his right boot to make it 2-1. There was one more chance for Hearts in the first half to draw themselves level again, but 6 minutes before the interval, as Barry Mackay played in George Grant, but his effort from just inside the penalty area was somewhat tame and comfortably collected by Yannick Breker, which means in St Gallen at half-time in the Europa League playoff round, first leg, it's FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1.
Hearts in the Europa League playoff round.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
There's no substitute. Previously on Breaking the News at the Edinburgh Festivals.
So how important are exam results then?
I mean, there's only 3 things that really determine life success. Looking cool in a leather jacket. Being able to say, what's that?
I don't know what Fonz world you're living in, but...
Just remember, there'll always be a job for you. For the last 20 years, they've been banging on, robots are going to take our jobs. The robots are coming. Are they, Des? May I remind everybody in this room that the robots cannot spot a lamppost in 9 pictures.
Breaking the News at the Edinburgh Festivals.
Listen now on the BBC Sounds app and catch the next programme tomorrow from 1:30 on BBC Radio Scotland.
You're listening to Sports Sound live here on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Richard Gordon. Hearts got off to a flying start, going ahead thanks to the Lawrence Shanklin penalty, but 2 superb strikes, 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes from Guerrero and Jamali have given Zurich the advantage. It's been a kind of strange game, actually, Tom English, as you reflect on the opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, it has been a strange game. I think Zurich started pretty well. They had a couple of chances early on. Recusano hit one wide, then Jamali, absolute thumper of a free kick, which Gordon did well to save, actually.
Yeah.
Even though it was straight at him, but that's a wet, slippy ball, and that could have easily have kind of gone in behind him. And then Hearts, kind of out of the blue, they get the penalty, and it is a penalty, and Shanklin sticks it away expertly, and that's 3 goals in 4 games for him, and everything's looking rosy. And then Hearts fall apart, totally self-inflicted. Both goals are awful goals to concede. First one, Haring is mugged down the other end of the pitch, counter-attack, Jamali shot. And it's you know, sorry, that was another Jamali chance before the goal.
Yeah.
And then just after the half hour, the long ball from the goalkeeper, headed up in the air by Atkinson, who's been really, really poor.
I mean, really
poor.
2 examples of very weak defending. For the 2 goals that we've seen.
No, it's a great finish. It's a brilliant finish, but Atkinson could not have teed it up better for him with the header. And Guerrero has done a terrific job in finishing it, but that's down to Atkinson. And then their second goal, Atkinson doesn't deal with it. Haring doesn't deal with it. And again, brilliant finish. All credit to Zurich, to Jamali, brilliant finish. But it's another self-inflicted goal, and they're giving the ball away non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Atkinson has having a very poor game, as I said.
Beginning sound like you've got it in for Matt Atkinson.
I'm not a major fan of Atkinson from what I've seen so far defensively. No. Not a major fan. Haring is not playing well. He's giving the ball away. Devlin is giving the ball away and giving away too many fouls. He's got away with a couple.
Yeah.
Referee has played advantage. He's got away with a couple. I'm surprised he hasn't been booked. So in the middle of the park, I think Hearts have been pretty poor, and I think Robbie needs to change this, because this is not a particularly good team they're playing against, but they're making them look good by really poor in possession and really awful defensive errors.
I still find it hard to believe that this team won the Swiss League last year, and the evidence of those 45 minutes.
They don't look a great side, but you know, Hearts, if you keep giving the ball away and you keep giving chances to the opposition, they're going to score eventually.
Well, when you consider that Craig Gordon, I mean, the early save from Jamali's free kick, he's 30 yards out and it's fairly straight at him, but it is absolutely zipping through the air. I know he doesn't catch it. I'd have been astonished if any keeper had caught it, I must admit, but he's got his body behind it, then he gets on top of it. There's a really, really good save just before the first goal that you mentioned there, the kind of slice shot for Jamali, but he reacts, realises the ball's spinning further away from him, he reacts, he gets his hand to it, and he puts it aside. So actually Craig Gordon has he's kept this team in this, because despite the fact that Zurich have by no means been any great shakes, they could have been 3 or 4 up.
They could. And again, even that chance, when I said earlier on, from Jamali, the one with Gordon saves, great save, it's Haring who gets caught in possession, and the counter-attack off Haring. So it's these sloppy mistakes all over the pitch, which Zurich are feeding off, and they're 2-1 ahead. They definitely deserve to be 2-1 ahead. There's hope for Hearts because Mackay, anytime he gets the ball, looks sharp and classy. Shanklin, every time he gets the ball, looks like he's dangerous. But they're not getting the ball to them as often as they need to. And in the middle of the park and in defence, Hearts are looking vulnerable here.
Craig, I do wonder, now, obviously Atkins is not playing right central defender, but I do wonder, had Craig Halkett not had to go off injured early on, he may have been in those two areas that Atkinson has been profligate in and has defended the goals.
I'll tell you, he would have cleared the ball, the long ball. I mean, the ball's in there so long, how can you misjudge that? And it's straight, it's not like it's swerving. I mean, all he needs to do is head the ball clear.
Yeah.
And you bet your life Craig Halkett would have done that. He'd have been aggressive, he'd have got above the striker, and he would have headed the ball clear. And I think the wounds have been self-inflicted, and they've been rubbish goals from Hearts' point of view. I mean, don't get me wrong, the actual execution of the goals has been good. But, come on. A long straight ball from the goalkeeper over the top, your centre-back tries to head it clear, heads it on in the path of the striker. I mean, no wonder you're losing the goals. No wonder you're losing the game at this point. I mean, I think the defending has been woeful. And I'm one of Peter Haring's biggest fans, and I think he's usually really, really secure when he gets the ball, but he's been terrible. And that's been reflected in the scoreline. I mean, Hearts are behind. I don't think they're behind to a great side, in all honesty. But they are behind and they need to do something about it in the second half. And Barry Mackay needs to get more of the ball. That's the other thing.
It was just that one run, wasn't it? And he thought, well, maybe this is him coming to life. And
he had two, didn't he? He had one where he jinked in between the two defenders, and then he had one just after that where he's put a left foot cross in. So I thought, well, when he comes to life, Hearts tend to come to life. But I think they've been at half cock tonight, Richard. I'm not so sure they're performing at the levels that they need to get anything out of this match. They need a rocket up their backside, I tell you, at half time.
Would you make changes, Craig?
It depends. I mean, I haven't got the bench in front of me here, so...
Right, so the options. So you've got Ross Stewart, the goalie, obviously. You've got Michael Smith, you've got Boyce, Mackay, Stephen, Halliday, Forrest, Nielsen, Henderson, Smith and Ginnelly. So it depends when you're making the change, obviously.
Yeah, Michael Smith could come in the back line.
Well, you would have him ahead of Atkinson, wouldn't you?
Yes. He's a 7.5 out of 10 every single
I'm
game.
hearing, incidentally, from Brian McLaughlin in St Gallen that Michael Smith is coming on for the second half. I wonder who he'll be replacing.
It's a no-brainer.
What if it isn't? What are you going to say, Tom?
I think we'll all be staggered.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a no-brainer, Smith for Atkinson.
Yeah.
He could make a few more changes because I think there's too many of them not performing. But I've seen enough from Mackay and Shanklin that there's goals in this for Hearts if they get their act together. I think
that's my feeling as well, Tom. Yeah. I think Hearts are underperformed. There's no doubt about that. They actually, in my view, have given a team who are as flat as a pancake confidence-wise. They've given them confidence by backing off at 1-0 and letting them dictate the play. They start to come into the game, start to feel confident, and on top of that, Hearts make mistakes. So that's why I opened with the wounds are self-inflicted, because I believe they are.
Well, they have to find something. They have to be more convincing. They have to offer a little bit more, perhaps, going forward, and they certainly have to be an awful lot better at the back. So fair to say, room for improvements for Hearts in the second half. We'll confirm that change for you just as soon as we get confirmation of it. Remember, you can watch the second half. It's live on Sportscene on BBC Scotland Channel. Listening to the commentary though from the guys, and we've also got live coverage on the telly tomorrow night, and it's a big one, the Championship, getting the action up and running. Last week's game between Dundee and Arbroath was brilliant. It was a great watch. So it's Partick Thistle against Cally Thistle on Friday night. That'll be 7:30, and then of course all the weekend action right across all four divisions of the SPFL and the Highland League, Craig, which is you've got a big one. You've got a big game on Saturday against Bucky Thistle.
Yeah, that's a title decider.
Yeah, I mean, 4 games in, he's right.
Abandon the rest of the league after Saturday, because this is where it's at.
I bet these head-to-heads, Brechin, Bucky, Brora, Fraserburgh, those are going to be the ones that will decide.
They will be,
who wins that title. I think Bucky have already beaten Fraserburgh this season, haven't they? So. Craig all hooked up in the Highland League, and it promises to be another brilliant season there. But right across the divisions, we're looking at the results from the first few weeks. It's been, if you don't mind, Tom, I will borrow one of your favourite words. Already, it's been bonkers.
Right.
And
yes,
the first few weeks of the season, so difficult to predict what the hell is going to happen in all 4 divisions. So, I mean, great coverage right across the weekend. Of course, we'll start with the early game on Saturday, Hibernian Rangers, right the way through to the 3 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, which is Celtic against Hibernian. The action in the Championship Leagues 1 and 2 as well. And then there's also, if you're having a look at the website, BBC Sports Scotland website, really interesting page there. The Scottish Premiership, 5 free agents your club could target. And it's amazing, actually, when you look at the name, Tom Rogic, obviously, and when you say your club could target, I'm not sure anyone could target
Celtic
Tom
could target him.
Celtic might want to. Leon Balogun. Xander Clark.
Yeah,
I know. Without a club.
I read that earlier on, and I thought, God, Xander Clark hasn't got a club.
Dylan McGeoch and Martin McNulty are the 5 featured, but they also say on notable mentions, Alex Gogic, Adrian Sporler, Kevin McDonald, Liam Grinshaw, Harry Payton. I mean... It shows how difficult it can be at times to get a club these days.
Well, Tom Rogic can't be short of offers.
He must have.
It's just, he's probably just waiting. Surely he's waiting for one that really appeals to him, because with his reputation, he must have offers.
I mean, I found it really interesting. Really good piece at the website, bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland, right? The Zurich players are re-emerging. They're going to be absolutely overjoyed. They rightly went behind. Well, I say rightly went behind. It was a clear penalty. The referee did very well to spot it, and what a job Lauren Shanklin did from the spot. But Hearts have been their own worst enemy since, and thanks to those, I mean, terrible goals, albeit really, really good strikes by Guerrero and Gemelli, it is a 2-1 advantage for the Swiss champions. There is Michael Smith. There went Nathaniel Atkinson. The world has been righted, perhaps, after the first 45. 2-1 Zurich as we get back to Craig and Al Lamont.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, Michael Smith on for the second half in place of Nathaniel Atkinson. I just wonder, Craig, what would Robbie Nielsen's thinking have been in starting Atkinson instead of Smith in the first place, do you think?
Did Michael not have a little niggle a few weeks back? I might be wrong with that, but
he did at the end of last season. Certainly, he had a lot of problems with back spasms last season, didn't he? So maybe it's just a case that he can't play midweek weekend.
Yeah. I would think it'd be something like that, because for me, he would always be in the team. He performs well every single week, and he's got good attacking qualities as well as defensive qualities. So he's a very adaptable and useful player to have.
Well, he's in the lineup now as play gets back underway. Hearts in their traditional maroon kit. Craig Halkett, just seeing a shot of him coming down the tunnel on crutches, which we certainly hope is very much a precautionary measure, as forward come FC Zurich looking to get a third goal early in this second period. It's nodded behind by Michael Smith, his first involvement in the game in the opening minute of the second half, and it will be a corner to FC Zurich from the left-hand side.
I wonder if Hearts will need to do some business before the transfer window closes, because Halkett's such an important player for them.
Corner from the left by Marquesano. Hearts can't quite get it clear just yet, but then Rowles toes it away, and Barry Mackay's done brilliantly to bring it under control and emerge with possession, and he rather buys a foul, just holding himself up to be taken down by the goal scorer of the equaliser, Guerrero, and it will be a yellow card for him and a free kick for Hearts, and pretty intelligent play actually from Mackay, because he had no support there.
Yeah, there was nothing in front of him but the opposition. He was getting pressure from behind by Guerrero, is that right?
Guerrero, yeah.
I had 4 goes at that. So he just put the brakes on a little bit, and Guerrero ran into the back of him, and he also got a free kick, but Guerrero picked up a yellow card as well.
Cochrane's free kick into the penalty area. The free kick is gone now against Hearts for a nudge at the edge of the box on Jemaili.
That's stupid. I mean, giving away a free kick, giving away a silly free kick when you've got an opportunity to attack the opponent's goal, it's just madness.
There wasn't an awful lot in the contact as far as I could tell, but the free kick was given and forward comes Zurich, and it's Marquesano finding Guerrero, gets a shot away, well taken by Craig Gordon at his near post, but again Guerrero looks very dangerous coming in from that left hand side.
It was worrying just how much space he had on the turnover of the ball. It was a very simple pass through quite a wide gap, and I don't think he's ever going to beat Craig Gordon with that type of shot, but it was a little bit worrying that Hearts were so open. And here we go again.
Yeah, they're open again down the left hand side, and it's Avdiay cutting in from the left hand side. It's blocked away and behind for a corner, and that was a crucial touch to deny Donis Avdiay. Hearts survive.
Yeah, Kingsley tried to play offside and got it wrong, and the Hearts were really lucky. I mean, it was good defending, wasn't it, in front of Craig Gordon? But they've been wide open twice in the last two attacks. Yeah, it was Rowles who managed to get his knee to the ball to send it away, but the corner comes in and the header is over the crossbar from Selnej. But worrying times for Hearts at the start of this second period. It's been a good start to the second half from the home side as they look to add to their advantage. Yeah, it's not insurmountable, is it? I mean, the game's been pretty even. I mean, I think there's no doubt Zurich have been the better side, but certainly 2-1 probably reflects the game. And it's still there for Hearts to... I mean, I spoke at the start, maybe a draw would be a good result for Hearts to take back to Tynecastle, and I still believe that. And there's still something here for Hearts in this match. I feel like they might just take a 2-1 right now if they were offered it, as Mackay comes forward, nudges it to Shankland, who's just offside at the edge of the Zurich penalty area, and that Hearts attack comes to nothing in the end. It's good defending. The defenders deliberately played him offside, and Shankland just gone a little bit early, but I would credit the defender with we're doing a good job there. As much as it does look like there are more goals in Zurich, you do feel like Hearts would have joy at the other end as well, but it's Zurich coming forward right now, and it's Marquesano about 30 yards from goal out to the right hand side. Jemaili, that's a great ball into the back post, and Avdiay with a diving header wide. That's two chances within a space of just over a minute, and this time he sends the header wide of Craig Gordon's right hand post. Yeah, Sibic's just got caught there, but it was a poor header, wasn't it? It was a wonderful cross. He's into the back post and he has to go back across Craig Gordon, but he headers it wide of the target, probably a yard wide. But Civic had no idea that Avdiay was behind him, and it was poor defending. Jemaili really is pulling the strings in the middle of the park, but it's Hearts coming forward just at the moment. Mackay won't get onto the end of that pass from Grant. It was a poor pass in truth, and Hearts do well to get a throw-in out of it. As long as if they've got Mackay on the pitch, I feel they've got a chance of scoring. He's the one bright spark. Cochrane's pass to Grant just manages to find its target, then Grant goes down and wins the side a free kick on the left hand side midway inside the Zurich half, and an opportunity here then for Hearts to load the box and try and get back on level terms. We've played 50 minutes now, and it's Zurich 2, Hearts 1 as it was at half time, as Cochrane and Grant stand over the free kick just a few yards in from the left touchline. Forwards have gone Haring and Civic. Kingsley, as Grant sends it in right-footed into the penalty area. It goes, comes off a Zurich head and loops over the crossbar, but there's an offside flag has gone up and denies Hearts the corner. And that's the last two dangerous free kicks they've had, Hearts. They've given a free kick away, and this one here, I believe that Kingsley was offside. So these are good opportunities. So here we go. Yeah, it's given away to Mackay, and he just couldn't find. It was actually Mackay who was looking to get on the end of the second ball, and if the pass to him had been a better one, he could have been in, as Zurich had given it away just in the edge of their own penalty area. Perhaps if it had gone straight to Mackay and first time round, the pass would have been better.
as it was. He was the recipient. As Michael Smith takes the throw on the right-hand side. Hearts looking to get some momentum in this second period. It's Grant on the right of the penalty area to Devlin. Takes a touch, then sends in the cross. It's headed away initially by Metz, and then Devlin's attentions on the edge of the box are too much, and he concedes the free kick. And again, Hearts, when they're in a dangerous area, give away cheap possession.
Yeah,
and
they don't put the ball in the box. I mean, Michael Smith has had numerous opportunities to throw the ball. Now, you've got Shankland in there who thrives on good crosses, and it hasn't had the service at all.
Kingsley wins the header, picked up though by Marquesano, feeds it through, looks like an offside, surely, yeah. Offside flag is up against Bogdan Vunik, the Ukrainian young striker.
He's made a lot of good runs, and he's just what is that, maybe a 6 inches offside?
Yeah, if Cochrane's not playing him on at the back there. Here comes George Grant on the left-hand side as Hearts look to make some headway. I think the rain might have gone off as Mackay comes into the penalty, gets the shot away, but it's immediately blocked just a yard or two away from him. Yeah, I don't see the rain falling, certainly not as heavily as it was in that first half, which might just about make sure the game does conclude. Here's Avdiay coming down the other end. Sliding challenge comes in from Haring. It's a really good one. He took everything of the ball and little enough of the man for the referee to be content with it. And it breaks up the Zurich attack, which was looking promising just for a moment. Hearts have it in the middle of the park. It is Haring. Back to Kingsley. And out to Civic. Franco Foda, the FC Zurich manager, at the edge of his technical area. Will be a lot happier than he was midway through the first half. Former Austria manager, whose Austrian side were beaten by Steve Clarke's Scotland not too long ago. Here's Devlin. Back to Smith it goes, forward first time with left-footed down the right-hand side. Mackay will give chase and he'll give a nudge in the back to Karel Metz, but it will be a throw-in to FC Zurich. Just seeing a rerun of that Peter Haring tackle. It was on the money, wasn't it?
That's more like him, isn't it? I mean, the first half he made a few errors in possession, didn't look quite in control as he usually does, but he started the second half much better.
Robbie Nielsen and Lee McCulloch always in conversation about how they could improve things. Robbie Nielsen actually scored a winning goal in Switzerland in his Hearts career against Basel in a 2-1 win. 2-1 it is to FC Zurich.
And he does remind you about it, Al.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, it was a while ago, certainly. At 04-05 in the UEFA group. It was one of 16 European appearances he made for the club. Here he is guiding them, hopefully, into the Europa League group stage if they can get themselves back into the tie. Still very much in it at 2-1 down. But here's Marquesano at the edge of the penalty area for FC Zurich. Civic stands up well and wins possession momentarily, but Selmic has it back, and now it's Omaragic knocking it forward. Good challenge in there by Rowles, and back it breaks to the halfway line for Zurich, who'll probably want to take more than just a single goal lead to Edinburgh, you would imagine, as down goes Guerrero off the ball, claiming he was blocked off by Michael Smith. It looked like it was just intelligent, experienced play by Guerrero by Smith to block the run.
Yeah, I think he did block him. His arm was maybe a little bit high. We'll see it here. Yeah, it was. He's caught him with his forearm.
Yeah, he's maybe a bit fortunate actually, Michael Smith, on reflection, because he does catch him round the neck area. And
I mean, I don't think he was going to get to the ball. I think the ball was overhit, but I mean, Michael was lucky there. He could have been pulled up for that.
Perhaps with VAR in attendance he might have been, as he and Guerrero exchange views on the subject. Guerrero reckons, you forearmed me right in the neck.
Which you did.
Kingsley then picks up possession inside his own penalty and knocks it long through the middle. Mackay can't latch onto it, and FC Zurich have possession back. We played 57 minutes in St Gallen. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. Hearts took the lead through Lawrence Shanklin, but in the space of about 3 second half minutes, around the 32 and 34 minute mark, they were pegged back and then fell behind as Devlin does what he does and just goes about his business in the middle of the park trying to win the ball back, and he's one aside a free kick. Abdiai doesn't want to give him the ball back, attracting the ire of the Hearts fans. It will be a free kick to Hearts, more or less on the halfway line. Abdiai has certainly put himself about. He's been a bit of a nuisance, but perhaps should have found himself on the score sheet. His best effort was blocked round the post by Kai Rowles. Here's Civic for Hearts, an early substitute after Craig Halkett had to limp off, and we'll get an update on his condition from Robbie Nielsen post-match when Brian McLaughlin speaks to him, although it might be a little bit early to tell just how bad or otherwise the injury is. We certainly hope for Hearts and Craig Halkett's sake that it's not a long-term injury. Here's Shanklin showing really good control, picks up the ball and drives into the Zurich half, then leaves it for Mackay, left of centre into the edge of the penalty area, finds Grant inside the penalty area, he has to turn away from goal. I'm not sure he had to, but he did, and Cochrane then can't find him with the 1-2, and Hearts have given up what looked to be a promising opening just for a moment, and then it's cleared away by Omar Agic, who is by all accounts attracting attention of the likes of West Ham this summer, but remains an FC Zurich player for the moment. But that just for a moment, Craig, looked like it might open up for Hearts.
Yeah, he was so determined to get back onto his right foot, wasn't he? I mean, I thought he could have just taken a touch and maybe tried swivel and put it across the goal, or had a shot at goal, but he actually picked the ball up in a great position and ended up maybe 20 yards outside the box.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth just swinging at it with your weaker foot, isn't it? As Haring hands off his opponent, and that one's spotted by the referee Marquesano hitting the deck, and Haring can't believe it, but it will be a free kick to Zurich in the middle of the park. What about this one, Craig?
I don't think there's an awful lot in that, Al. I mean, he has put his arm out, which every player does, to protect him, but it's a little bit high and it's maybe caught him on the chin. But I didn't think it merited that reaction.
Yeah, Marquesano didn't need too much encouragement to hit the deck, as Haring's hand did catch him in the face, but it's the type of movement you see on a football field all the time, and
it wasn't an aggressive, touch, was it? It was just a touch more than anything else, and he's gone to ground.
Free kick then to the home side. We're just ticking on to the hour mark, and it's 2-1 to FC Zurich, the Swiss champions, who find themselves bottom of the league after a dreadful start to the defence of their title. 2 draws and 3 defeats, and just 1 goal and 10 against in their opening 5 games. Quite incredible. But they are leading here against Hearts, and Cammy Devlin just managing to get himself out of trouble at the edge of his own penalty area. Shanklin, though, is crowded out, and Zurich have it back on the left-hand side. It's Guerrero, chips it forward right-footed and can't find a teammate, and that's gone behind for a goal kick to Hearts.
You know, I don't think this is a top side that they're playing today, Al. I mean, they have some good players, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that they must have lost a few good players from.
Well, they lost, as
season.
Tom was saying pre-match, they certainly lost their top scorer, Asan Cisse, who at 22 for them last season, who's gone to Lecce. So that's the big loss. And they made a few signings, obviously, as well, and they lost their manager, which is, I'm sure you will tell me, Craig, could be a very significant loss. Andre Breitenreiter left to take over at Hoffenheim to be replaced by Franco Foda, so that would be a disrupting factor, if nothing else.
Obviously he's got a load of players who were used to playing in a certain style, which the new manager has obviously tried to change, and hasn't quite got into the same rhythm as they were in last season. But I can't see a player on the pitch here should be interested in West Ham. Are you? I don't think there's anybody here who is of that standard.
Yeah, well, it's the right side of centre back, the young 20-year-old Becir Omaragic, who supposedly was certainly linked with West Ham in some newspaper reports. But
I'm just talking about what I see. You know,
no, absolutely. The best player for me on the park in terms of the Zurich players is Jemaili, but he's 36, and I don't think he's going to be going anywhere now. But he's certainly had an illustrious career with the likes of Bolton and Torino and Parma and Napoli, among others, and still looks a class act, as he showed with the second goal.
Yeah, he is. He's a good player. And obviously the amount of times he's played international football will help enormously with that.
Hearts fans looking just a little bit more glum than they were in the opening stages, as the ball's out for a throw-in the far side. 62.5 played, FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. No further goals in this second period, but it's Zurich coming forward down the right-hand side. Kingsley, though, there to lash it away from inside his own penalty area. Shankland can't get onto it, and Zurich picking up a lot of loose balls, and there's a good ball through the middle, and it's Marquesano sliding it through for Avdiay, just forced slightly too far out to the left-hand side, and in any case he is offside. And a shake of the head, but not quite going to plan for Donis Avdiay. I'm not sure I'm not sure it is offside, actually. Sibic looks like he
the
probably...
linesman is looking right along the line. I don't know how he can get that wrong.
Yeah, it's a poor decision by the looks of it. Avdiay.
They've used that well tonight, the offside. I mean, Hearts have been caught two or three, in fact three occasions I can think of, in dangerous situations, and they haven't really dealt with the runs in behind from the strikers from Zurich.
You know, their title win last season was compared to that of Leicester in terms of the style of play, which has involved not a lot of possession and very quick, direct transitions into attack. But I think you're right, Craig, that Franco Foda has changed that slightly. Possession is more of a factor, and they have been quite swift on the break, certainly at times, and they lead by 2-1 as Toby Sivic prepares to take the throw-in about 15 yards inside his own half on the right-hand side. Down the right it goes, looking for Shankland. Shankland gets the flick on, but there's absolutely no Hearts player in his vicinity to latch onto it, and FC Zurich have easy possession. Flicked forward by Marquesano. Raouz is there, though, just outside his penalty area to pick up possession. And Cochrane with a hopeful, rather aimless ball forward, and again it'll be easy possession for FC Zurich, picked up by Milan Krayezu.
Hearts can't seem to get any sort of period of possession which can give them some confidence. They're giving the ball away constantly.
Would you be minded to change things if you were Robbie Nielsen right now?
If Ginnelly was available, I would think about maybe bringing on his pace. Might be helpful.
He's certainly on the bench. He came on to score his first goal and his first appearance of the season after injury. He had been linked with a move away, but Robbie Nielsen maintains that he's got an important part to play for Hearts. Here come FC Zurich looking to add to their 2-1 advantage. It's Marquesano at the edge of the penalty, looking to get it onto his right foot. Devlin did well to stand up and block the shot, but it comes back now to Selnej. He has to go back the way, though, into the centre circle. No way through. Hearts look a bit tighter at the back at the start of this second half. Robbie Nielsen would surely have been emphasising that, the need to be better in defence, as Cochrane picks up and knocks it down the left. Shankland beaten in the jump, though, by Krayezu. Again, Zurich pick up possession through Jemaili, and now Metz back to Jemaili, the playmaker, and Selnej.
I think Hearts are again back to that sort of situation where they're sitting off. They're allowing Zurich to get too much time on the ball. They're not getting close enough to put any pressure on, and it's just very comfortable for Zurich at the moment.
Hearts were last in the Europa League playoff in a game that Richards mentioned pre-match in 2012 against Liverpool, as Sivic presents the ball to Avdiay on the right-hand side of the penalty, and he clips it back post. Guerrero with the acrobatic effort, and it's just wide from Guerrero. It was a difficult one to take, and he just tried to hitch kick it in at the back post, and it goes wide of Craig Gordon's right-hand post, and Hearts survive again.
Yeah, but another blunder, wasn't it, by Sibic? I mean, he's on the wrong. He gets caught on the wrong side with a fairly straightforward situation. And then he passes the ball directly to Zurich. And then Guerrero makes that run round to the back area. The ball's floated into him, and he does a sort of hitch kick, wasn't it? And he's put it a couple of yards wide of the post. But I mean, if he'd scored there, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, it was definitely a decent opportunity on the 67 mark. 2-1 to the home side. Although we're playing in St Gallen with Zurich Stadium unavailable because of a concert. Civic does well on that occasion against Vinuk, and Hearts play it out of defence, and Shankland is shoved to the ground by Metz, and they'll have a free kick on the halfway line as Robbie Nielsen is going to his bench. Well, it's Liam Boyce who is going to be introduced. In fact, there's going to be a double change. Alan Forrest is the other player who's going to come on right now. So, well, it's certainly an attacking change. It's not like Robbie Nielsen's sitting back and accepting just that one goal defeat.
I don't know if he's got many more defenders left on the bench. And I mean, this game feels like it's winnable, but they've just not done enough. And maybe he's just thinking, well, let's have a go for it in the last sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes of the match and see if we can nick another goal.
Well, attack, as we all know, Craig, is the best form of defence, so that's potentially in Robbie Nielsen's mind. But they haven't tested Yannick Brecker at all in the Zurich goal in the second half. And here come Zurich again. It's Jemiley from the edge of the penalty area trying to burst through. Well, he reckons he was body checked, but there was just no way through for him there. And he's invited to his feet by both the referee, and then Toby Civic offers a hand to pull him up. But the veteran, I think he was trying to use all his experience there. Civic just putting the arm out, yes, but holds him off pretty comfortably. Ball's out for a throw in over on the far side, which will allow Hearts to make those changes. And also there's going to be changes for Zurich as well to tell you about. So Peter Haring and George Grant are the players to be replaced, and Alan Forrest and Liam Boyce will come on.
We haven't seen much of Grant, have we, really, in the 69 minutes that we've watched the game. He hasn't really been involved. Maybe that one sort of half chance he had where he turned away from goal instead of striking the ball.
Tom's going to get his wish because Nonto is coming on for the final 20 minutes.
As long as Tom's happy, that's the main thing.
But he's definitely right to say he's a bit of a wonder kid, as Avdiay and Vunik are replaced. And I
think Boyce might be coming on to see if they can retain more possession higher up the field. I mean, he's very good with the ball played into him, and very rarely does he give the ball away, even when he's under pressure. So maybe Robbie feels that just a wee bit more control of the game, slightly higher up the field, would be good for Hearts. I'm beginning to think maybe getting out here with a 2-1 defeat, it might not be a disaster.
Well, Hearts would still fancy their chances, taking it back to Tynecastle and turning that round in front of what will certainly be a very partisan home crowd next Thursday, as the double substitutions are made by both sides. Nonto and Roner are the two players on for Zurich, and off have gone Avdiay and Vunik, the two strikers. But Wilfried Nonto, as Tom said, a young Italian who made his international debut just in June and played all 4 of the Nations League games, getting on the score sheet against Germany. And you have to wonder, actually, that he's still at Zurich, because he's clearly a bright young talent, but Zurich have managed to hold on to his services thus far, as Mackay does well, plays in Forrest up to the edge of the penalty area, driving at the Zurich defence. Did he play that off Guerrero?
No, he hit off
just off his own foot. Yeah,
hit 1 foot onto
the
other.
goal kick, unfortunately, because again that was half a chance.
Well, it wasn't just half a chance, but Boyce was screaming for the ball in the middle, and Forrest decided to take it on himself. I mean, he's having last season a good season. He started quite well at Hearts, and you've got to allow him to do that, but at the same time I thought the ball across the face of goal was a better option.
We've got just under 19 minutes to play in St Gallen. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. All the goals coming in the first period. Hearts breaking the deadlock with a Lawrence Shanklin penalty, but then falling behind as Guerrero and then Jamaili within a few minutes of each other hit absolutely cracking strikes to put their side in front. Here's Liam Boyce. He's done well to get the wrong side of the defender. Into the penalty area he goes, then just runs into trouble, and Shanklin can't get the loose ball to get the shot away. Zurich just about dealing with the danger there, but signs early on that both Liam Boyce and Alan Forrest can make an impact in this game.
A little bit quicker tempo, wasn't it, when those two new lads have got on the ball? So yeah, I think there's a problem, an injury problem for one of the Zurich players.
Yeah, that's Jamaili, isn't it, who's gone down and signalled immediately that he needs to come off, which is not bad news at all for Hearts, because he's been very influential in the middle of the park. And if he's missing for the final stages of the game, then Hearts won't be complaining. He's down getting a bit of treatment just now, but he immediately signalled to the bench that he was going to have to be replaced, and they're having to prepare Sheikh Condé, who's, like Jamaili, a central midfielder, Ghanaian international, as Jamaili limps off. And although we would never wish any player ill in terms of injury, it wouldn't be a bad thing either if he just couldn't quite recover in time for the second leg, given his influence in this game so far.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Off he goes to warm applause, the man whose goal put his side in front, and on comes Sheikh Condé for the final 16 minutes or thereabouts of this contest. Hearts have it on the halfway line. It's Civic to Forrest. Forrest comes in field from the right hand side. Devlin with a neat step away from Condé, then knocks it forward to Shanklin in field to Forrest. He runs into trouble, then slides in to try and keep possession. He'll do well to keep the ball, but he hasn't managed to do so. And then Nonto gets his first touch, but Hearts have done well to harass their opponents a bit more. As Craig says, tempo about Hearts play now.
That was much
substitutions.
Much better. I mean, Forrest's energy coming off the bench. He's quick to press. Just about stole the ball back higher up the park there, Hearts. But that's the first real press they've had in the second half, and they do need to show a wee bit more urgency, I think.
There's Kingsley back to Rowles, just outside his own penalty area, out to the left hand side for Cochrane. Up it goes to Shanklin down the left touchline, well challenged there by Kriezu, and out for a throw into Hearts with quarter of an hour left of the first leg of the Europa League playoff out in Switzerland. Hearts trailing by 2-1.
This guy with the pipe, they keep showing this guy with the pipe sitting up the stairs. Do you know who he is?
I was just avoiding talking about him, Craig, because clearly I don't know who he is. I'm assuming he's
maybe the owner
or president or something like that. But thanks for mentioning him.
But he's been puffing away at that pipe all game, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's having a fair old smoke at that pipe. Here's Toby Civic up to Forrest on the right hand side. Civic gets it once more in. Shanklin tries to turn away from Kriezu, but he does well and just knocks it down the left channel, and Rowles is there to just turn it back to his goalkeeper Craig Gordon, who hasn't had all that much to do in this second period. There was an early save from Guerrero he had to make, but it was a pretty workmanlike one. But you were saying the game didn't really, it was surprising that it had 3 goals in it. Well, this second half hasn't had any. So here's Shanklin across the face of goal though, looking for Boyce. Turned away though, and picked up by Selnish. He can't distribute it to one of his teammates. Devlin makes a nuisance of himself, takes the ball in the face for his troubles, and the referee's going to stop play now because he did take a knock to the head. I think he's going to be okay, the young Australian, but comes off his shoulder initially.
He's quite brave here. He's leaning in. Actually, the ball gets kicked off his face from about 3 centimetres away. Look, he looks really dazed, doesn't he?
He'll get back to his feet with the help of the referee.
You wonder if that should have been a free kick, because I mean his foot obviously is as high as Forrest's face.
That's Devlin, yeah.
Devlin, sorry, yeah.
Well, he's quite small, but nonetheless, yeah, it's a fair point. That's a poor defensive header by Kingsley, giving it straight to Marquesano. Here comes Rona, the substitute. Kingsley atones for his error by making the challenge and knocking it behind, but shouldn't have given up the opportunity in the first instance. Corner kick to Zurich as they lead 2-1, 13 to play.
Yeah, and another situation with a long ball that wasn't dealt with properly by the Hearts defenders. I think Craig Halkett would be a big miss if they continue to do things like that. And that's 3 times in this game that they've given up chances just by not dealing with a straightforward long pass.
Yeah, Halkett will be a big miss if he's not back for the second leg either, as the ball's turned into the penalty area on the spin. It was a shot that came in, and it was the substitutes, Roner, who turned the ball, tried to turn it on goal, but over the top. And it remains with just over 12 minutes left. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. Hearts haven't really been able to impose themselves in an attacking sense in this second period, or indeed really since they opened the scoring. But here's Forrest trying to latch on to his own first touch, knocked out of play by Metz, and I think it's just probably cramp that he's feeling. Both legs being stretched off as the referee signals that he'll be stopping the watch, but the big defender in need of some treatment there. 80 caps for Estonia, Karel Metz, and feeling the effects of presumably quite a heavy pitch by this stage, Craig.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't shown signs of cutting up, which is quite remarkable because the rain has been pouring down, isn't it? From before the start of the match. I mean, it must be a couple of hours, I would think. He looks like he's struggling. I mean, the cramp can be a terribly,
especially when you get it in both legs at the same time.
Yeah, he's having a bit of bother.
Yeah, on come the physios. You were talking about defensive cover, especially if Halkett's going to be out. Lewis Nielsen is really the only other defender, certainly centre back, that they've got on the bench. The teenager they brought in from
guy,
who certainly
he's a good player.
Looks good, although he's yet to make his Hearts debut, but Civic preferred to him in terms of the substitutions, but he might have to come into Rob Nielsen's thinking at some stage in the next few games if Halkett doesn't recover quickly. The only other even remotely defensively minded player you would say is Andy Halliday, who can certainly play,
he could play
left full-back or left wing-back. But they're a little bit short in that area just at the moment.
So if Halkett has got a sort of fairly serious injury, we hope it's not, then sorry, I was caught watching Civic giving away a goal kick. I think if Halkett's injury is going to be a lengthy one, which by that I mean anything 3 months or over, then I think the Hearts will need to do some business in the before the window closes. And I don't think that they'd planned on doing that, but I don't think they could run without Craig Halkett. I think he's been such an improved player over the last couple of seasons, and he's a really good defender and an important player.
That's Aliti that's replaced Karel Metz. He has failed to recover from his cramp, so Aliti comes on at left centre back, a natural replacement there for the closing 10 minutes now, plus any injury time. Kosovan international on to replace Metz. But just sort of maybe a final point on that, on Halkett, that I guess what it would certainly do is, if they weren't able to do business, it would reduce maybe their ability to play 3 at the back as often, because if Nielsen's their only other centre back, at times they might have to just play the 2 centres.
Yeah, and I mean, Robbie really likes this 3-4-3 system, and I think he'd be reluctant to do that. And I honestly think that once the window closes, if you think about it, if they don't do anything before the window closes and have another injury, they're in serious trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, we do hope that Craig Halkett's injury is not a particularly serious one and he's back playing sooner rather than later. It's Barry Mackay, left-hand side, switches it to Civic on the right, about 35 yards from goal, trying to get forward, trying to get past his man. He goes to the ground rather easily. The referee isn't interested in his claims for a free kick, and Nonto, who hasn't been able to get into the game really since coming on has given up possession. Hearts knock it back forward, no chances taken there by Elite, as the ball was possibly going to bounce through to his goalkeeper, but possibly not, and he couldn't decide.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper shouted for him to leave it, but it looks like that's his last action. He's going off.
Yeah,
as
that
well.
was actually, I thought Elite had already come on, but certainly the graphics came up to say he had, but it was Carol Metz who has now gone off to be replaced by Fidan Elite, and it will be a throw into Hearts with just over 7 minutes to play. Swung into the penalty area by Kingsley, just a bit overcooked with the pass over the head of Shankland, who's really only had scraps to feed off in this second period particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I was calling for them to cross the ball earlier on, but that situation was 4v2 inside the penalty box in favour of the Zurich team, and I think it was the wrong moment to throw the ball in. Kingsley just decided to throw in a hopeful cross, which didn't cause any trouble whatsoever. The better choice would have been to retain possession until more people could have got forward and got in the penalty box.
Zurich come forward down the right hand side. Back went Rowles to block the cross. Now Cochrane, he goes down under the challenge of Marquesano. It will be a free kick to Hearts down near their own corner flag. Hearts have Celtic at the weekend, a trip to Celtic Park on Sunday before the return at Tynecastle next Thursday. Zurich don't have a game to play as far as I can tell in the domestic league. This debate came up in terms of Rangers and PSV as well. Craig, would you prefer to be playing at the weekend, particularly playing against the champions on their own territory, or would you prefer to have a week's rest?
I would prefer to have a week's rest. You know, I think that gets the players. You can do all the preparation that you probably need to do. When you play 3 or 4 days between games, it is a bit rushed.
Yeah, it's a big game, and they will have to go in with that all guns blazing as well, as Nonto isn't pleased that he hasn't got a throw in there. It certainly came off him last, and Hearts will take it. 6 minutes to play. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1. No goals in the second half, all of them coming in the first period. First one for Hearts from the penalty spot, Lawrence Shankland getting them off and running, but they were pegged back and then swiftly behind as Guerrero and Jemaili both got on the score sheet with fabulous finishes. And that's how it stands right now as Hearts try to come forward. Shankland again will give chase, but to no real avail. Zurich picking up possession in the middle of the park and holding on to it pretty comfortably. Here is the substitute, Aliti, out to Guerrero, tracked by Forrest. Back into his own half he goes, and plays it to Condé. Guerrero once more. To some extent, do you think they look to be happy with the 2-1 advantage?
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, they're certainly, you know, when opportunities are there to play forward, they quite often come back out and retain possession. And
one goal advantage is great, but when they're on top as they are in this game, you would think they would go to try and extend that advantage. Here's Nonto trying to do just that on the left-hand side, up against Civic. Civic gets a good foot in to knock it away, only as far as Guerrero on the left-hand side. Nonto once more on the left, on the touchline, looking for the 1-2 there. And that time he was blocked off by Civic, says the referee. It will be a free kick and a yellow card for Civic for his attentions there.
I just don't know how much contact there was here. Yeah, he has grabbed Nonto's shirt on the way past, and the referee's very close, and it's an obvious foul.
So
he got booked, I think, did he?
Yeah, he did. Guerrero will take the free kick from the left-hand side as Zurich look for a third goal, and a 2-goal advantage would be so different to take into the second leg than just the one. Guerrero into the box it goes, and it's a firm header certainly that came in from Marquesano, but he got too much on it almost and sent it well wide of Craig Gordon's post.
Well, that was a good chance. It was a good chance. I mean, he got his head to the ball. He could have got the glancing header that he required, and Craig Gordon would have been in trouble.
Marquesano, who's looks one of the smallest players on the pitch, found himself in space and won the header, but fortunately for Hearts, couldn't direct the header on goal. But I think Robbie Nielsen will probably be a little bit disappointed that his side, having gone that goal up, as you said, they began to sit deep, probably not under instruction, and since that point they've never really been able to reassert any authority in the game, and really haven't tested Yannick Breker in the goal, in the Zurich goal at all.
I don't believe that they've performed at the levels that Robbie would have expected. I think this has been a poor performance, and I do think that they're still in the match, and that's the good thing. Going back to Tynecastle, different atmosphere altogether. They'll be re-energised, and hopefully. Well, I'm still hoping they can sneak a goal before the end of this match, but it could have been worse than 2-1.
Yeah, certainly FC Zurich have had the better opportunities since it went to 2-1 to extend that lead. Here's Cochrane though for Hearts inside Zurich territory, back to Devlin, and then back into his own half to Sibic, out to the right hand side for Kingsley, who for some reason finds himself out on the right flank. Comes off Guerrero, is opposite number 3, who knocks it back to Aliti, cleared down the line and out for a throw in to Hearts midway inside the Zurich half. Nonto really hasn't been able to get into the game at all. Tom English will be most disappointed at that. We'll hear from him his thoughts after the game as he joins Richard and Craig in the studio. Just 90 seconds or so of the 90 minutes left to play, plus any added on time. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1 in the Europa League playoff. First leg. Michael Smith back to Rowles and out to the right hand side where Sibic picks up. Neat touch there from Shankland, but Devlin just couldn't take it in his stride, and Hearts are wide open at the back as the counter-attack is mounted. Where were they? It's Roner going through on goal. Roner, what a big save that is for Craig Gordon. The Hearts defence were posted missing, and Roner denied by Gordon, and that, in the context of the whole tie, could be a massive save.
Yeah, that was poor defending by Hearts. I mean, your job as a defender when your team is attacking is to organise. All that happened there was a turnover, and there was one Zurich player standing in acres of space. And what a brilliant save from Craig Gordon. I mean, he's managed to close down the angle really quickly, spread himself. So often he does that. And, it should have been a goal, and Hearts should have been 3-1 down, but Craig Gordon saves the day.
Goodness knows where the defence were at that particular point. Sibic was certainly upfield on the right-hand side. It's going to be a corner kick to be taken by Marquesano into the near post, away by Shankland. Well defended by the Hearts goal scorer. Marquesano picks up once more, goes back to the halfway line, and then it will go all the way back to Brecher, the Swiss captain of Zurich. He knocks it down the right-hand side. Mackay tries to get it to Shankland. They haven't been able to get Mackay, as you were hoping they would, Craig, into the game at all in this second period.
No, they haven't had enough periods of possession to be able to find them. I think it's been a poor attacking performance by Hearts overall, and particularly in the second half.
Just looking, almost looks like Hearts have gone to a 4 with Sibic at right back and Michael Smith as a
central midfield,
defensive midfielder, yeah, which is an interesting tweak. I don't quite know.
He's played there before.
Yeah, absolutely, but just in terms of trying to affect this game, not sure that it's worked entirely, but certainly Hearts were exposed just a minute ago. 4 minutes of added on time. We're into that now, as Hearts will thank their lucky stars and thank Craig Gordon, not for the first time or indeed the last, who's kept them in the tie, certainly with that big save, but it's been given away by Forrest to Nonto, and then Smith takes Nonto out of play, and that's an obvious yellow card for Michael Smith, and I think that's called taking one for the team, Craig.
Yeah, I think it's a sensible decision. I think Nonto was past them. I thought Forrest was really slack in possession. He gave the ball away too easily, and that's resulted in Michael having to take that yellow card.
So free kick to the home side, FC Zurich, about 35 yards from goal, pretty central, just left of centre. Guerrero is over it, and we know from experience in this game already that he's got quite a left foot on him. It really probably favours a right footer, but looks like he might fancy taking the shot on, but there's plenty of bodies up if he's going to flick it into the penalty area, which he does. Back post ball, it skips away and behind for a goal kick. Good news for Hearts. 2 minutes though left of the game. Josh Ginnelly is going to make a very late introduction into the game in injury time. 2 minutes left. FC Zurich 2, Hearts 1.
Yeah, I thought I might have seen Ginnelly earlier on. I think he has blistering pace, and you know, certainly if you're under pressure, as Hearts have been in this match, and you're defending deep, then to go forward as quickly as you can to Ginnelly, who will run away from most defenders. I thought we might have seen him on the field a little bit earlier on. Does it maybe say that Robbie's thinking that 2-1 might be okay?
I guess, yeah. Josh Ginnelly replacing Lauren Shankland. Well, certainly Hearts haven't played at their best, so if they can improve their performance going into next week's second leg and get close to what we know is they are capable of, and we know that FC Zurich have looked okay, not great, but okay.
This game's hasn't gone for Hearts. I mean,
no.
At 2-1, I think there's easily overturnable at Tynecastle.
Boyce wins the flick on. Forrest can't get onto it. 3 minutes of injury time already played. A minute left as Devlin tries to help the ball forward. He loses out though in the middle of the park, and FC Zurich have it back, and it's Condé. And now Aliti coming forward. Down the left-hand side it goes to Nonto. Nonto attacking down the left channel. Back goes Devlin to try and stay with him. Up against Civic. That's a good ball across goal. No takers. It will be picked up on the right-hand side by Borana Jazovic, who'll knock it back into the penalty area. Smith is there to play it away. 30 seconds of the 4 minutes added on left to play. Ginnelly can't hold on to possession, and Zurich have it back. That was a really good opening for Nonto and a good ball across goal.
Well, that was just begging to be put in the net, wasn't it? I mean, it was an absolutely wonderful cross. I mean, Tom's maybe right. This young kid maybe should have been on from the start.
Hearts have it in the middle of the park. It's Devlin helping it forward. Boyce on for Ginnelly. He's offside. He needed to get himself back on.
Yeah, he was coming back from an offside position and he didn't get back in quickly enough. But I mean, if he had done and got himself ready, that's a brilliant opportunity, because Boyce has flicked it on into empty space behind the Zurich defence, and with his pace, nobody would have caught him.
Free kick then to the home side. Comes off the head of Barry Mackay, out for a throw-in on the far side. We're beyond the 4 minutes added on, and FC Zurich will take a 2-1 lead to Tynecastle as the referee brings the game to a close. A game in which Hearts took the lead midway through the first half. Lawrence Shankland scoring from the penalty spot after Nat Atkinson had been fouled by Selnej. But that was as good as it got for Nat Atkinson, who was involved in the equaliser as well, but not in a way he would have wanted, as the goalkeeper's long clearance spun off his head high up in the air, and there was Guerrero on the spin just inside the penalty area to plant the shot past Craig Gordon. And a couple of minutes after that, on 34 minutes, Guerrero slid the ball into the penalty area, and Jemaili fired past Craig Gordon to put FC Zurich at 2-1 up. Into the second periods, and really it was the home side who had the better of it, albeit not too many opportunities created. There was a Guerrero shot early on, and Abdiai should have done better, but he did see a shot deflected wide by Rolls that was going to test Craig Gordon. It wasn't really until the closing few minutes when FC Zurich came again and perhaps should have got a goal that might have made the second leg a bit more comfortable for them. There was a Marquesano header just wide when he should have done better. And then into the final minute of the 90, the substitute Fabian Rohner burst through and goal with Hearts wide open at the back. But as he has so often done, Craig Gordon spread himself at his near post and turned the ball wide for a corner. And that was the end to the goalmouth action. And that save from Craig Gordon might yet prove pivotal when we get back to Tynecastle in a week's time. But the first leg of this Europa League playoff in St Gallen has finished. FC Zurich 2,